Where are you from? You from the Bronx, right?
Yeah, I'm from the Bronx. Yeah, I'm
Where?
For as far as it could get in the Bronx. I'm close to Mount Vernon, Yonkers.
So like 240.
I'm 225th.
Okay.
Right off 225th on 2 train.
How was that?
It's different. You know, you grew up. I grew up a lot different than a lot of people that I meet in the city. Like my neighborhood is like Little Jamaica. What people would say, but when I branched out, started doing more things, you start realizing even the rest of the Bronx is different. Like rest of the Bronx is like heavily Hispanic and stuff like that. Like even other high schools and stuff. I had a different experience, but just
What was it like going to high school?
You went to high school all the
there.
Hispanics?
no, I went to high school with mostly Jamaican.
Got it.
But like anybody else I know in the Bronx, all their high school, all their stories are like how much like Hispanic presence was in their school, like Spanish gangs and stuff like that. Like,
word.
well, I was like, I grew up almost like feeling like I was Jamaican in some way.
I was about to ask you,
Yeah.
are you Jamaican?
No. I'm half Puerto Rican, half black.
Word.
Yeah. So.
Did you have both cultures primarily in your household growing up?
I had my mom, she's from like North Carolina, so I had like very country Southern family, like family that goes to church on Sunday, cooks dinner, every night. And then my father on the weekend, and he's like a Bronx Puerto Rican guy. Like he don't speak Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
He's all his friends is black. Like one
what
of those
my
type of
mother would
things.
say is a Boricua.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say, I thought that was like, that's how I describe Brooklyn Puerto Rican people.
Most New York Puerto Ricans that are born in New York are like that. They
Word?
yeah.
I thought all the Hispanic people uptown like speak Spanish to each other. I'm from Brooklyn,
Yeah.
so I thought they all like. Be clear.
I
thought they all like speak Spanish with each other and like are not as assimilated.
I don't know. My experience, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm Puerto Rican and Ecuadorian. My mom was Puerto Rican, so I obviously I usually
Identify more. With
I've taken more to like my mother's side of the family. But I mean, I guess it's a little equal. But like my Spanish, when I speak Spanish, it's very like Puerto Rican, but
which means it's English. Got it.
it's like Spanglish.
Yeah.
But my mother's like from Puerto Rico. She was born and raised
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
and she's not from like the city. She's from like what they would call the
The
mountains.
campo?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
campo, like where they had chickens and stuff. So
Yeah.
she's very like, well, she was very like specific to like identify. She's like, don't compare me to the New York
The
Puerto
New
Ricans
Yorkers,
because we're
yeah.
not the same. Those are Boricuas. I'm Puerto Riqueña. I'm like, okay, sis, I got it. I didn't speak Spanish. My first language was Spanish, and then I went to school. I forgot everything, and then I didn't really start practicing Spanish till like a couple years ago. And then I finally got back into it because I felt like, I gotta be in touch with my roots.
Yeah.
But on another note, coming from the Bronx, I know there's a lot of culture in the Bronx, period. Especially, obviously, hip hop culture comes from the Bronx. And I know that I heard through the grapevine that you rap. Do you still currently rap?
Yeah, I'm actually in between projects. It's just that my whole life has changed in between my last project. Like I put out music and just I created like a lavish rollout to promote the music. What was like I designed a shoe for Nike. I started like embroidering on hats and stuff, and it's just that stuff just took off.
That
so
was
much.
all a part of the rollout. So
It
that
was
was
a
all
part of
done
the-
to support your
Like
music
my
endeavors.
album was called The Savior. So like me making Savior hats and like even the Nike shoe I designed had my flower logo. It had the Savior on it, Feather on some fly, and I just kind of just packaged it all in one, and it just started to take off so much that.
So that happened by accident.
So basically, like most of the new following doesn't even recognize me as a musician. They just recognize me as.
See, I didn't know.
Yeah.
When I was I don't know if you're familiar with Ross.
Ross.
He works.
Yeah, I know Ross. Yeah,
Oh,
I know
okay,
Ross,
okay. Because he helps me
Yeah.
like with like guests and stuff for the show, and I was telling him, who I had coming on, and he was like, "Yeah, did you know that he raps? Like I know him from rapping," and I was telling him that I was like trying to highlight you based off of like how I seen your hustle come up with your clothing and stuff like that. He was like, "Yeah, he rap and da da da." I'm like, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's just, to be honest, it's just been me applying the same principles,
Mm-hmm.
just the way like you go full out, the way you attack press, the way you attack an audience, how you engage it. That's all the stuff I've learned through the underground circuit. So just me being able to apply that same stuff with my clothes, the way I set up pop-ups, the way I engage with the fan base and everything. That's everything I learned through my music. So it's just funny to see different results when I'm trying to sell you a t-shirt.
That's crazy.
My story's so similar. It's so it's bordering on like eerie. I went through a lot of the same stuff where I wasn't an artist myself, but we made merch to kind of support this rollout, this mixtape, and it just kind of
took on a life of
its own, where it was like the music almost became secondary, honestly, because it was like everybody like the merch, and then there's so much like transferable skills from when you're trying to be an artist and create that brand and create that narrative. They're like, oh, I could just put it into merch, and it's like, this is actually like a bigger profit margin. Like it's actually like
definitely
easier in a way. So, and I heard about you as an artist first, as like a rapper. But then when I rediscovered you later, I was like, oh, I must have been thinking about someone else, because this was like the merch was just so huge. You had the custom Nikes, you had the custom shirt, you were doing the drops regularly and everything. And when she spoke to me, I was like, oh shit, like it was the same person. So it was really dope.
How did you even go about that? Like making that whole, putting together that whole rollout? Are you like, do you have a team, or like you're doing things on your own?
You know, when I say 17, 18 years old, it was like you either gonna, I would say 18, 19. It was either you gonna go to college or you're gonna get a job. So started working at Foot Locker, and that just kind of just added on to just my love for shoes. So not only was I just a rapper, I was like pretty known with sneakers. So I was like getting covered on like sneaker magazines and stuff like that. So for a long time in my life, it was me, the music, battling just Jaetips the sneakerhead for so long. So
how does that feel like for you? Do you feel like it's a battle with yourself?
It's conflicting.
Kind of like what you have to focus on, or
it's conflicting, because I'm gonna put up a pair of Off-White Jordans, and it's gonna get more love than maybe the announcement for the album. But you gotta understand that people are still here for something. So, but we all get caught up in social media where it's like 100 likes is 100 likes no matter what. But this only got 60, or this only got 600, and this got 3,000. Like, we still get caught up in that where we're battling ourselves. But I just had to learn over the years that everybody's here for something. So it's like you can't really pick and choose what they gravitate to.
I could understand that, and I resonate with that a lot, because I feel like the presence that I have on my social media came from, I used to work at Atmos, so like when I was working at Atmos, I was always known as like that fly girl from Harlem, girl from Atmos. I had all the sneakers, and I was a connect, quote unquote, even though I wasn't connecting nobody, but whatever. And that's where most of the people started like gravitating toward me. It was because of my style and the way that I dressed. And then I noticed as I started going to more business ventures and like doing things that were just like me creating things, I would get more likes on just like regular outfit situations than like an announcement for like a drop of something, or like a new episode of something, or stuff like that. So I can resonate with that, and it's whack, but I mean, I think that the outlook that you have on it, the perspective that you have on it based off of like people are here for something, is a good way to look at it, because I usually be like,
which do you enjoy more?
I would say I enjoy the music more. I think music was just such a long goal. Like, I have 12 albums. So
really?
I was doing it since high school, just putting out stuff every year. And it's even like through the journey, like me being able to walk into a Jimmy Jazz and see like videos of me like reviewing shoes. It doesn't feel what it would feel like if maybe I was somewhere and see my music video playing. My music video might shed a tear to my eyes, but seeing me review a shoe, that's still my face. But it almost feels like it's a separate person.
Yeah.
So it's conflicting, but it's you always have a battle.
And you're still in a way you're still gaining some type of success off of something that you're doing. Yeah. And I think that that's pretty dope, because it just comes to show that just creatively, you're just meant to succeed as a creative. Period.
Appreciate that.
So I think that I really did not. That kind of took me for like. It kind of switched up on my questions that I had.
What, his answer right now?
No, the initial answer that was like, I thought that you had, to be honest, I thought that you had made a pivot from like rap, because you started doing clothes, and maybe it's just like, oh, this shit works, so I'm gonna just stick with this. So it's interesting knowing that you're actually still rapping and doing, fashion as well. Yeah. So like doing streetwear as well. Yeah. And the fact that you love rap so much more. It's just so interesting.
Yeah, but I also, it's almost like an Easter egg, I think, for people who may be obsessed with like some of the things that I do, like maybe like getting the support, because it's all I am is telling the music story. Like, I haven't really switched anything up. If you look down on my Instagram, when I was dropping my Hypebeast trilogy, all my merch had Hypebeast on it. Yeah. And then when I get to the Savior, now everything says Savior. So it's just, I've just always been just marketing my way to the marketing myself the way I see Kanye, Drake, Travis Scott, or anything. Just trying to package yourself, like, always act like you arrived. Don't act like you need to figure it out. Like, you don't need nobody to tell you what it. You can go on Instagram and see how you're supposed to do it.
How do you think that combining both of those, like in terms of like, I know, I asked you if you had a team, right?
Oh yeah, you asked me. I didn't answer. So I work with just my friends. Like, I just staying close with my friends, and it just so happens that all my friends had brands. So one of my friends was a buyer for a store in the Bronx. So I used to go with him to a lot of trade shows. So I used to see how things were set up, how maybe quality of clothes were, and price points, how you're supposed to just price things. But I was always just there as Jaetips, the sneaker guy, or people would, and at that point people would notice me for little things. They'll notice me for maybe something they seen on YouTube, or like, I seen you got them Yeezys, bro. How you got those? So, I was always kind of used to the how to
How
deal
did you
with
get those?
Yeah, it's a lot of strange things when it comes to sneaker stuff. So
It really is, though. That
yeah.
sneaker world is something completely different.
Yeah, so I just always just been working with my friends, trying to stay as tight knit as possible. Just learning from them, and them we learn from each other.
Well, I was asking because I know that especially when it comes, everything costs.
Yeah.
So when you're a full-time creative, I'm talking about even when you're rapping, you got to pay for studio sessions. You got to pay for mixing. You got to pay for engineer. Or when you're doing merch, you got to pay for the actual, like,
production.
the production and all of that. So I know that a lot of problems that creatives have is the financial backing, and that's why they try to gain like some type of support as a team, because maybe perhaps they'll be able to financially back the project and things like that. What does that look like for you?
Well, my angle was just kind of, I understood that the money is not gonna be unlimited. Like the tune core, everything else. Like, you're not usually gonna be surprised by what you see in there. So I just kind of just learned.
You're usually not gonna be surprised.
Yeah. So so I just I learned to be self-sufficient. Like, I remember going to the studios, and I have 2 kids, so booking a 10-hour studio session, or just going to different studios, and the mix not right, then you want to record it again, you want to do this. It was so much. I just taught myself how to engineer. And, I missed the personable part of it, being in the studio, kicking it with people, but learning how to do it from my living room and put my projects together, learning how to master and stuff. That was how I was able to help myself on that side. And with with just fashion and stuff, just learning the programs, learning Photoshop, learning how to, source out material, and learning how to just who's screen prints, who does this, who does that. Like, kind of just seeing what.
So you apply some of the same principles, again, like you said earlier, like, all right, for music, I know that this isn't sustainable this way if I keep booking these 10-hour sessions.
Yeah.
I need to amass as much knowledge as I can and do it myself.
Yeah.
You took a lot of the same stuff from merch. It's like, I'm not going to go and hire
exactly.
an on-demand somebody. Like, all right, how do I figure out how to do this design? How do I get the screen printing done?
Yeah, through trial and error too. Like, it was points where I would kind of try to push myself to just understand the results. Like, I know this T-shirt isn't perfect, but putting it in the world and letting the world tell you what they think about it is gonna be faster than trying to get something perfect.
I think that's a really good point, because I feel like a lot of people are so obsessed with not putting things out until things are perfect that they kind of miss their opportunity.
You'll learn you're perfect. You'll learn what because I get a lot of information through people that just offer it. You can't find it if people don't even know what you're doing. Like, Busy could be on my story just browsing, and he can probably find somewhere he can insert maybe some information, where if you're not doing nothing, it's no one can offer you any information.
Word. So they say starting is the hardest part, and that's why so many people suffer from paralysis by analysis.
Yeah,
it's like, I don't want to do anything. I have to think about every scenario, and is this perfect? What is this person gonna think? It's like, just start. Like, just put it out.
Learning that for music too. How many videos you'll sit on forever because you're waiting on a premiere, waiting on let's lock down this location for your listening. There's a bunch of stuff around it that sometimes affects the art, and I learned that through just creating. With merch, actually, it was just, if you start trying to hustle into the numbers, or hustle into what you think this is gonna do, it's gonna mess up the art, because then you're gonna let me make something on a black tee because I know that's gonna sell better, instead of doing exactly what you want to do, and making your art sacrifice.
So you feel like you just fully let the creative inform all of your decisions. You
Yeah.
kind of just let go and it's like, yo, I don't care if off like beige t-shirts are not selling. Like that's what I feel. That's what I'm gonna do, and it's been working for you so far.
Yeah, I feel like I hit a stride. And it was just like, just when you had an idea and you act on it, people know when you half-assing them. Like, well, I've seen that in a Disney documentary on Disney Plus. It was like Walt Disney said he knew people would know if the park wasn't perfect because it's gonna be the littlest things that they're gonna just know this isn't the right way. You didn't give your love into it, so I just try to if I had an idea for a blue shirt, I'm not gonna let somebody tell me it should have been black or should have been white. It should have been this. Like I want to do a blue shirt. And,
I want to do it.
I gotta go to sleep. I gotta go to sleep at night with the way I feel about like my brand. Like you could just be like, damn, maybe you shouldn't have listened to me.
Was there a turning point for the merch? Because I feel like, at least from social media, it looked like from one. I don't want to say 1 minute, but definitely like there was a few months where you can see the shift, and I was like, oh, these are going on StockX, and you got like the Hat Club collab.
Yeah.
Was there something that was like the catalyst for that?
I would say what really jumpstart the boat was when I created the Nike Air Force One
With the logo on it?
Yeah, I packaged it like it was coming out. Like I had like I have reached out to a kid that followed me on Instagram who did the photography for Packers in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, if he took the pictures, it would look like it's coming out. So
Good
I reached out
Jedi
to him.
mind trick.
Yeah. So it was like, it was just a mind trick. So I had like a bunch of Photoshop stuff. I had stuff in the tuck. Like when this shoe comes, I'm gonna make a box. I'm gonna go out. I was doing a little bit of consulting for Nike.
It's too much sauce. You're giving up too much sauce. He's like, I'm gonna make the box. This is proprietary info.
Yeah. So I just did a bunch of stuff that if I seen online, I felt like people would think it's really coming out. And as soon as I did it, people started calling stores. Because I came from working in Foot Locker, so people started calling me. Like, yo, they calling the store asking for your shoe. They're calling this. And it was like, I'm telling everybody it's only one pair. It had got so bad that it was points where I didn't want to go outside because people stopped me on the street. Yo, I can't get a pair.
What?
And that was...
They were fire, too. I don't know if you've seen them.
That was something I never felt through my music. That was something that I never really got through... as much hours you put in. When people say you got to put in your 10,000 hours, like I feel like I was at 20, 30,000 hours. I never felt that. I never felt with people inviting me to events, and I'm just like, I can't. I don't want to answer no more about the shoe, and
No more questions.
Yeah.
It had to have been bittersweet. We were just talking about.
I was gonna say that too.
We were talking about this earlier, like that feeling of you're never gonna make it, right? Like. Mm-hmm. So many things that you probably aspire to do. Once you kind of get there and achieve it, you're like, damn, there's so much more ahead of you. Do you feel that? Like you walk in, you see yourself on Jimmy Jazz like reviewing a shoe, but it's like, damn, I want to be there in a different way.
To be honest, I think I'm still in the trauma of how much I had to go through to kind of get here. I think still, even when I make purchases at a register or I go out for dinner, I still feel those feelings of when you had to check the account to see how much is in there, or like say no just because like, nah, I gotta do something later in the week. I can't. So it's like I still feel that. So sometimes my friends remind me of how much is going on and how much is really happening. Cause it's like I feel like I've sacrificed so much. I used to have so many sneakers that was like my piggy bank. It was like, all right, so if I don't get
some bread,
if somebody doesn't pay for a verse or I don't get a show this month or something.
Well, I got 500 here, 1,200 here.
Yeah, I can sell this, I can sell that, but then. You started to see it get thin. You started to see the collection get thin, and then you want to wear things, and then you're like, I don't really have much to wear, so it feel like everything kind of started to really, really turn when I felt like, this is the Savior's the last goal.
Your
like,
back was against the wall.
Yeah, was against the wall. Like I got to figure something out, and maybe that's it. Maybe you got to sometimes walk to the edge just to know you won't jump. Kind of
pressure makes diamonds, as they say.
I love this. Oh my God. You just, and I feel like you just spitting them back to back to back to back.
No, people need to hear that too, because even to hear like, they say it's not, it's not survival of the fittest, it's survival of who can adapt.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I was doing this one thing, but this kind of took off, like, let me pivot. But there was also, you can't forget about the times where it was like, yo, I ain't know what I was doing.
Yeah,
like,
and I got 2 kids. I can't wait for you to, I can't be caught up on you think I'm a sneaker reseller or you think I'm a a rapper, or you think I'm a sneaker person, or you think I'm a fashion designer, I gotta get this money. Like, like it don't matter how you feel about me. I gotta go get it.
Do you think that that's the reason why? So I know a lot of times, especially hearing the way that you describe, kind of like it's a positive, like the fact that you're whatever you really do fashion wise, like just takes off like that. Do you feel like that's like more so your backbone?
Yeah.
It's
What,
like
fashion my backbone, or maybe like just like my resilience to it?
You're no like that being something that you know that you could always fall back on. It's just like
is
I know
fashion the new pillar? Like, is
Yeah.
that what your brand is built on? You think now?
I you know, I would say yeah, in a sense that it has got to a point where it was no turning back. Like it's tough for me to kind of even understand when it's like, yo, I'm just making album merch, but now I got to think about LLCs, I got to think about tax information, I got to think about business accounts, when this was just me,
Promo.
you know. Yeah, this was just me trying to print up 24 shirts to hit SOBs. Like, this was just
but
that,
the fact
and
that
that's turned
happened
something
is
else.
so fire. It's just like
Yeah.
everything came about so unintentionally, and it's
Yeah.
just like this is. Had it ever occurred to you, like maybe this is maybe this is my calling, like maybe this is what I should do?
Yeah, definitely. But I think the way I got it, the way it's come, is really just, you know, you got to embrace change at all times. You got to understand that, you know, the world and the universe does have a plan for you, regardless of about what you really want. You know, you got to sometimes use this to get that, and use this, like really like playing a board game or something. So
If let's just say if your brand takes off, well, gets further, it's always going to get further, but I mean like
yeah,
gets it if it okay, hold on,
When it gets massively huge,
right? Like I'm just saying, like will you be okay if your fashion brand or your streetwear brand gets bigger or remains bigger than your rap career? Or will you kind of like what would that feeling be? Like I don't even know how I'm trying to like ask.
No,
It's
no,
so
I
interesting.
understand, because, you know, just even hearing it, sometimes it's questions that you have to ask yourself inside, because, you know, day by day, you know, being stopped on the street, being like addressed in any way is like, it's still a blessing, you know. So, but what people know you for is, you know, sometimes you wonder, but I think everything gets you somewhere. Yeah, everything was a step into that direction. So of course it'll probably feel like a X you're not over, but it would also be like, you know, you just gotta kind of understand that, you know, music is a passion. You can always build a studio somewhere, and the fact that I have those skills is like I could work on it internally and do whatever I want to do, package it the way I want to package it and stuff. But if fashion's gonna keep the bills on, that I got 2 kids that's not really gonna understand why, you know.
they don't care where the money's coming from.
Yeah, because my son, he doesn't understand what exactly I do, but he tells all his friends that I'm on YouTube. Whether it's people talking about my hats, or it's just them, you just seeing someone cover me for something. He's just like, oh, my dad's a YouTube star. So people gonna know you for anything, and I'm far from a YouTube star. So it's, you know.
So when you post, I think I got sidetracked. When you posted the kicks, that created this like insane demand, and that raised, I guess, visibility for like your logo. And then is that what allowed you to pivot into the hats?
No, it was surprisingly, the rollout was 3 steps. It was announce the music, announce the hats. It was, I started selling like pins and T-shirts, and then the last thing was, if I seen the music drop, and then if it starts to, as soon as it fizzles a little bit, because you know the way we are in the music age is people only gonna be tagging you and posting you for maybe 2 weeks tops.
Yep.
So
that's we gotta come with the next wave.
So I said, you know, when that dries up a little bit, then I'll post the shoe. And when I posted the shoe maybe, you know, I was on Nice Kicks. It was, people was trying to interview me. People was writing it up about it, and I remember even having a tough conversation with my friend, because my friend was even saying, like, it seems like you're chasing the hype of the shoe more than you're chasing the album. Like, the album's good. Like, even DJ Clark Kent had seen me, and he said that I know more about you having an Air Force than I know about your music. And I had kind of told him that it's all in one. So, you know, it all packaged in one, while the hats were still, you know, doing, you know, slow grind, maybe even 12 a month, 6 a month, 8 a month. And then when I had kind of like signed on to do the collab with Hyatt Club, you know, just a brand, you know, company that big, people started to backtrack. So people started to go back and catch up on me.
Word.
They started to buy old stuff. They started to buy new stuff. And just what I was always doing, dropping a product every week, it just started to really help the people that just got here. Like, they was like, oh, I love this kid. I love this guy.
Yeah. What's really interesting.
Like, the hats came back and it which is crazy.
Like, people were reintroduced to them as a
Yeah.
result of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because it's like you're talking about your career and passion for music and for fashion, but at the core of a lot of it, it just sounds like you're a really great marketer.
Yeah.
Like,
even having that whole strategy of your rollout and wanting one thing to follow the next, and knowing
Yeah.
like if something fizzles, all right, boom, let me throw this out there to gain them back, like kind
Yeah.
of reel
yeah,
it
like
back
that
in.
cadence of
Yeah.
like, 'cause, I mean, that's largely what I do for my job.
Mhm.
So hearing that's like, oh, this is like, you could almost apply that skills, like we said earlier,
Yeah.
like so much of it's transferable. You could apply it to anything because it just sounds like you just understand marketing. Do you think that comes from like the era that you grew up in and seeing how how things were put out? Like when you're working at Foot
Yeah.
Locker, you're seeing the in-store.
It comes from everything. It comes from, you know, just the way we retain information. You know, people tell you all the time, like, you only pay attention, even in arguments, you only pay attention to what you want to pay attention to. So it's like, Beyonce, the way she releases her album sparks in my mind. The way Kanye sells stuff that you only could buy at the concert sparks in my mind. Just the way, like, a Nike shoe could be the biggest shoe of the year, but you didn't even know about it last week. Just, I feel like retaining all that information when it's time to kind of figure out what you want to do for yourself, I have all that in my mind. Like, even we've been going on the road during the pandemic and doing these pop-ups that I only announce on the Monday, and then on the day of, I announce the address, and people come, and it's just like, they'll tell you that a million times is you shouldn't do that. But me, I'm thinking about it. That's what Drake did with A-Life a few years ago. That's what Pusha T. That's how his album release was for the last album at the hotel in Soho and stuff. So it's just like, I just kind of just try to apply every single thing I've seen into what I do, and it always sounds crazy, but it always works for some strange reason.
That's actually really impressive too, because I know a lot of people, they pay attention to the way that really big artists do things, and they tend to try to like implement that into their own in their own strategy, in their own business plans. And I know that it doesn't work for everybody all the time, because their audience probably isn't as big, or, you know, it just doesn't coincide. So the fact that you're able to do that is really just, one, super impressive. And I actually really admire the fact that you do study these big artists that you that you've seen, like, handle things differently, and then implement it in a way that just, you feel like you just trust yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that it's different for an artist, because that's what I would call you, an artist. It's different when an artist really trusts himself, because you know that regardless of what, like, it's gonna work. I just trust myself. I just know it's gonna work.
And a lot of information is transferable. Like, you have to just kind of just pay attention to your surroundings. Like, you have to see the plant, pick it up to see where it came from at the bottom, you know, and then, you know, you figure it out. You got to go to a show to see someone have a backdrop with moving backdrop to now when you're in a venue, you have to ask them, you know, how you do that, and can I do that? And, you know, you just got to pay attention to your surroundings, your environment, and just kind of. But what you had brought up about marketing, I've always looked at it like that. It's always, my marketing is gonna drive me far, but the products has got to keep them there.
What is because you made a lot of references to, like, I guess, I don't know how old you are, but references that are more recent. What from your childhood do you remember as far as, like, product, like sneaker releases? Was it the, you know, whatever, Penny Hardaway's, the first time that the Concord 11s came out? Like, what are some of the, like, early memories that you have that gave you that feeling that you're trying to recreate with the people who are buying your stuff today?
I would think it's definitely, I would say, I think my music references are very, very recent when it comes to marketing. Cause, you know, you're in the music industry. Music industries came a long way when it comes to just the way things are packaged and presented.
For sure.
But a lot of my early growing up was all sports. It was all, like, you know, just seeing the way like a person carried themselves, seeing the way people talk, the way they look, the way just little
athletes, you mean?
Yeah, athletes. I feel like athletes, and that's kind of how I kind of formed the beginning of it. I feel like my earlier memories was more kind of just molding things. I feel like a lot of like just seeing like how it felt when you see in the DMX album cover or something like that. Like I feel like it helped build the aesthetic that I kind of try to sustain now.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of like things I probably recently see are current. So it's like if you try to stay current, you kind of stay in the mix a little bit.
During the pandemic,
Yeah.
it makes it. You were gonna say something?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Because you gotta finish. I know you want to wrap up that thought.
My second question was because it's kind of unrelated. I was gonna ask you what your top 5 sneaker silhouettes were.
Top 5. Not in order. I say Air Jordan 17.
Not in order. The 17. Okay, matter of fact, with colorway.
College Blue. Air
Okay,
Jordan
the first
17 in
ones.
Suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
Brad 11s, just because I think just perfect silhouette story.
What's the best year?
The best year I would say 2001.
Okay.
2001. Third I would say is the Air Force One, just because it's just a shoe that just has so much history in your life. Like first day
That's
of
a
school.
freebie. You could almost
Easter.
that could just.
All right, so let's not count that. All right, so
That's the best sneaker made of all time.
all right,
You
so
could
so I said 17, Jordan 11. I would say Yeezy 1, just because it was just to know that you didn't have to give up on your hoop dream to still be able to like
play.
obtain that level of like, oh, you got a shoe. It's just like it was like groundbreaking for me. I would say
Which colorway?
I would say the Blink, the black and pink ones.
Word.
Then I would say 4 and 5 gotta be maybe Air Max 1, just because it's just always clean.
I've never been into the Air Max.
What?
Man. I know.
Air Max 1.
No Air Max. I can't
It
even
just
do the
has
95s.
such a like a. It just such like a clean like.
And then I would say Air Jordan 3, specifically the True Blue. I just remember seeing the True Blue walk through the hallways in school, and it was
with
just,
the Giants jerseys. It was crazy.
It just meant a lot to like I need those.
You just played back a whole era in your head, like.
My bad. What were you gonna say? Unless you want to go now. Do you want to say your top?
No, I was good. I kind of liked where that was going. I haven't had a conversation about sneakers on the platform in a really long time. I'm kind of a little.
We're here for a reason.
I'm a little off the loop nowadays.
No, those are all classics that you listen to. It's
Yeah,
very
they were.
surprising to hear the 17s, which is,
I was gonna say that too. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but it's definitely one that I think is like
But maybe the last question you asked me that maybe I didn't know how to say it, but the market and the packaging maybe did something.
Came with a
to me.
suitcase, $200. It was
Came
like,
with a
what the fuck is
DVD.
going-
Yes. Came with stuff like that. Maybe that exactly was the tipping point for me to be like, oh wow.
Yeah, you're very detail oriented. Like you pay attention to all of that, and that probably plays into your decision to really like fuck with something.
Mm-hmm.
The 17s was probably one. I can't think of another sneaker that came with like that level of thought in the packaging.
Yeah.
There were other things that came out at a similar price point, like the foams. I think were $200 when they first came out. But this, like you said, it came out with the suitcase. It was a bullshit suitcase.
Yeah.
So, like when you got it was like plywood, like aluminum.
Yeah, it was crap, but it was, to me, it was just so much. Like I just remember, it was the first shoe that I was wearing in adult sizes. So I remember even the teachers making a remark saying that I was wearing a $200 shoe.
Word.
I remember little things like that. I remember my mom kind of saying only wear them on like the middle of the week because on Friday somebody could try to rob you and then you don't see them for 3 days. So I just remember so much stuff like that. Where it was just,
Mama love holding you down.
if you're gonna wear those, you gotta walk the back
advice.
blocks, and if I find that you're not walking the back blocks, you can't wear them again. Like just stuff like that was just kind of like embedded into my memory.
You're not gonna see them for 3 days. I feel like I had the similar combo with my parents. Like
Going into the pandemic, I know that obviously I think this is a conversation just a topic that always needs to be brought into all the conversations that we're having nowadays. Going into the pandemic, I know that it altered the way that everybody did business, especially if your business is based off of like groups of people, events and things like that. So I know that you had mentioned something about doing pop-up shops. I did see that too, and I saw that it was highlighted on the news.
Yeah.
What made you want to go into the whole pop-up situation?
I feel like I had a lot of show trauma. I feel like doing like the rap shows, like you can headline SOBs or something and then be a packed house, and then you could do the Delancey, which is not that far, and there'd be 7 people in there. So just like when it came to how well the fashion was doing, it was like, how do I touch the people with how do I touch the people? Because I don't want to do these shows. I don't want the show environment. But I started as soon as it was like safe enough to like get on planes because they were super empty, and they said like you're not gonna get sick just flying in the air. I would go to these places just to like if I was dropping a Chicago White Sox hat on Friday, I would go to Chicago and just post the hat in front of the stadium and say like this Friday, and then I'll do that in Cali. I went to LA, did the same thing, and you see so much people just kind of like, yo, but are you gonna sell them here? Can I come buy them? So we just kind of just thought about it and was like, let's just come back and do it. Like went on Peerspace. We had to ask everybody like if there was are you even doing events? Can we come? And like they'll just tell you what it is. Like 3 people, 4 people inside at a time. And so we did it. And when LA was the first one we did, and we did that. We posted the address at 12, doors opened at 1, and had 100 people online. So
it probably makes the lines look crazy when you can only fit 3 people in at a time, right? So it also adds to like.
It was tough because
the aesthetic and how it looks like.
It was tough because we had to also tell people they can only buy one thing at a time. And just coming from where I come from, and like I'm turning down money. That was tough.
That's whack.
Yeah,
it was tough.
That was tough. So we just been trying to, in some way, like why not? Like everything I do is just why not? Why can't I do that? Why can't?
Well, just to like sum things up and wrap things up, what do you have coming up? Like what's next? What can we expect next from you?
So what next is I have some more stuff coming with Hat Club. Because I'm here, I've been speaking about potentially a shoe coming. I can't specifically say with who, but so we got some things coming that people
that will be available for the public, not just one.
Yeah,
shoe.
Something that people could track back and say maybe they heard it here first, and I do got some new music coming next month. For the first time since all this stuff's been going crazy. So it's just definitely just. Do
you have an album title? Is it going to be a body?
So yeah, it's going to be a body work. It's going to be called The S3E2.
Okay.
Just because it was, initially I wouldn't have wanted to sequel it, but it was like, I don't know how to stop this train.
Word.
So it's like, so I'll just continue it. Mm-hmm. So it's like we just gonna keep working on it, keep moving and grooving, more cities, more stuff like that.
Can I ask for a favor? When you come out with a hat, can you let me know? I'm really bad at I'm really bad at being the person that just clicks on the sits there and waits for. I just be missing shit all the time.
You gotta hunt them down on Instagram like I did. I'm like, yo, where you at? I pulled up to the Bronx.
You got my number.
Yeah, I be trying, and I'm really big on my hats, but as I've been falling off because I just can't keep up.
She's doing bad. I should have brought stuff today. I know you was 7, right?
Yeah.
Really? I was 7. Does that mean my head's big or your head's small?
I think that. I think it means that your head is small because the fact that you're a 7 with hair.
Oh.
Yeah, if you're 7 with hair, your head's pretty small.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I've been called big headed a lot lately, and I've been like, But yeah, because I need some damn hats, and I've been really I'm really skeptical about where I buy my hats for one, and who I buy them from. But I'm super big on hats too, so
I was gonna ask him because I only wear black, so I was like, "Yo, when you dropping some black shit?" Right when he was like, "If I want to make blue, I'll make blue." I was like, "Not asking that question. I'll just wait for the black stuff to drop."
I definitely need to get some merch from you.
Nah, sure, I got y'all. Hook you out.
Well, this is season 3. What's a 9 to 5? Episode 2 with Jaetips, Busy Rivera, and Rogue Mero. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned for more. There might be a part 2. All right. All right, y'all. That's a wrap.